Hello, this is Tim Bryce with the National Weather Service here in El Paso. It's June 7th, 2013, and it's a little before noon. And this web briefing is for today for the potential for severe weather later this afternoon and evening. Well, what am I talking about? There will be isolated severe thunderstorms basically from the Continental Divide and to the east. So that includes the communities of Deming, Truth or Consequences, Las Cruces, Alamogordo, Cloudcroft, El Paso, and Sierra Blanca in Hudspeth County. What are we talking about? Well, the main threats will be large hail, up to golf ball size hail is possible today, and very strong winds greater than 60 miles an hour. Yesterday we were expecting just isolated severe thunderstorms in basically the Otero Mesa and in Hudspeth County, and we did have some isolated severe winds, 55, 60 miles an hour. Even in El Paso, we saw some 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So today's setup looks even better than yesterday's, so that's why it's a little further west, and things could be a little stronger. There is also potential for some flash floods. Most of the storms will be moving right along today, but there are some indications from a couple of the models that a few of them might slow down or linger, and that might lead to a few spots getting 1 to 2 inches. When you get that much rain in an isolated area, that could lead to some flooding. So I can't rule out flash flooding. Also, one of the other threats today will be dry lightning, especially in the Gila region. Again, basically that is thunderstorms that develop but don't have the rain falls, but before it reaches the ground it evaporates. The lightning does of course reach the ground, and it's able to more likely start forest fires because it doesn't have that rain to put out the fire. So those are the threats that we're looking at today. Severe weather east of the Continental Divide, including strong winds and large hail, slight chance for some possible flash flooding, and then dry lightning in the Gila region. Current watches and warnings in effect? Well, there are none, but I do think we will for sure see at the least some severe thunderstorm warnings. There is a potential we'll see a severe thunderstorm watch, but we could also see, in addition to warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings, we could see urban and arroyo flood advisories, and maybe even an isolated flash flood warning as well. It just depends on where that rain falls. If it rains in the desert, probably an arroyo flood advisory, but if you were to get 1 to 2 inches of rain over Las Cruces or El Paso, that could lead to some flooding problems. Here's where the Storm Prediction Center thinks the elevated risk of severe weather. They call it a slight chance for severe. I think elevated risk is a better way to kind of call it, so that you can kind of get the idea that we do have a chance of basically severe thunderstorms basically east of the Continental Divide, as you can see there. What's the cause for all of this? Well, moisture came in yesterday, but it really only made it to the Rio Grande Valley and to the east, and then as we went through the day, this dry line moved back to the east. So we missed out on the deeper moisture. It was basically in Hudspeth and eastern Otero County. Today that moisture has come much further into to the west, so we have much deeper moisture, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But that deeper moisture has moved much further west, and that moisture is what fuels these thunderstorms. So here's the morning sounding. The precipitable water, which is one measure of the amount of water, there it says at the very top of the little numbers there at the bottom of the page there, it says PW equals 0.87, and basically that's almost a doubling in the amount of water in the atmosphere, or moisture in the atmosphere, for these storms to use as fuel. In addition, you can see how the winds at the lower elevations start from the southeast, but as you move up, they make a nice turning motion and end up being from the west up higher up in the atmosphere. This is a signature that is very conducive to storms being organized and long lasting. This puts a little kind of spin to the storms and helps them to keep going. So we've got the potential for storms that will be very healthy, very strong, and able to maintain themselves. Usually the storms that we have out here in the desert, they pop up, and then the rain falls straight back down through the storm and actually kills off the storm. And it's these pulse storms that go up and down real quick. The storms that we're looking at today aren't that type. they will be much more likely to have a little spin to them, be able to maintain themselves for 30 minutes, an hour, or even longer. And that's when you start to get the big winds and the big hail out of these storms. So again, here's another graphic kind of depicting where we expect the severe weather east of the Continental Divide. I also threw in the dry lightning threat that was up in the Gila region. You can use these graphics, do a screen capture, and share them with your colleagues or friends. What are the uncertainties? How far west will the storms get tonight? As they're going to start off in the higher terrain up in the northern part of the area, around the Black Range, the Sacramento Mountains, and then all the storms are going to work to the southeast. So how far west they're going to stretch is one of the questions. There's no real strong atmospheric trigger. We like to see a short wave or a vorticity maximum come along to really give the atmosphere a kick to get it going. Not really a strong atmospheric trigger, so we'll be having to look for heating and the orographic lift of the terrain to get us going. And then, like I said, there's some question on heavy rainfall. Will the storm set up in the right locations? Will it fall on a populated area? Or if there is heavy rain, will it fall out in the desert? So again, doing a real quick summary, we could see today hail up to golf ball size with winds of 60 miles an hour or greater east of the Continental Divide. There's that slight risk of heavy rain and flash flooding, basically from the Rio Grande east. Dry lightning is going to be a problem in the Gila region. So emergency managers and the general public will be strongly urged to monitor for later statements and updated forecasts. So basically what's going to happen is that the afternoon, the further north you go, is more likely the time for the severe weather. So truth of consequences around the Black Range, the Sacramento Mountains. And then as we work through the evening, it'll work from the northwest to the southeast. So it's looking like prime time for El Paso is at 4 to 8 p.m. And I know there's lots of activities going on around the area. Lots of activities in El Paso downtown. There's Diablo's baseball. Matter of fact, there's baseball in Las Cruces, in Alamogordo. So there's lots of outdoor activities. So I just asking people to have a plan. If thunderstorms approach your area this afternoon or evening, seek shelter in a sturdy, well-built building, because those storms will definitely have the potential for large hail and very strong winds. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. As always, you can get the latest information from our website, weather.gov/El Paso, or any of our social media feeds. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you do see severe weather and you want to tweet us out a picture or a tweet, you can do it by just using our username on Twitter included in the tweet, which is @NWS El Paso. So again, keep an eye to the sky, and thank you for joining me.